Let's go forward to page 178. That's 4 days later on the 27th of March. Do you see it?
Yes, I see that.
You see at message time 5:40, which is actually 7:40 p.m. Sergeant Nkosi sends you a screenshot of a chat between himself and Deputy Chief Dlamini, who he has saved as General Dlamini undercover. And it says, "Afternoon, Captain. I had a meeting with Kane and those guys today as I indicated." Who is he referring to?
So firstly, Chair, there's an indication that the meeting did not occur, so we had to give feedback via an SMS. So according to me reading this message, it is a follow-up in terms of the outstanding ex post facto payment. He had a meeting with the representatives of Cubus. Within that discussion, we would have probably been discussing the matters of the ex post facto payment.
And your understanding of process is he should resolve it first with department, in other words, with TMPD, or Cubus should first resolve it with TMPD. If they can't, they should escalate it to procurement. And if they still can't, they can then raise it with you.
Spot on.
Let's look at what Deputy Chief Dlamini says. "I have told them that they should go back where they have started, Ku'imfuetu. I said to them, he is the only gateway. They can't go with a back door. I will only be able to assist if I get an indication from Ku'imfuetu. Protocol must be observed at all costs." So he's telling them the exact opposite of what you say is the correct procedure. Instead of starting with him, trying to resolve with him, if they don't get joy with him, going up to supply chain management, and if they don't get joy with supply chain management, finally escalating it to you, he's saying they must start with you, and he will not be a back door.
I see the inference is respectfully incorrect. The initial protocol that was followed, which resulted in me raising the matter with the Deputy Dlamini, is after the formal process had already been embarked upon, and after we had appropriate and I'll say sufficient evidence that indeed these invoices were approved by the relevant APSS department and they were due and payable for payment. If you go back, Chair, to my submission and on 436, that gives an indication of how matters should be escalated accordingly. On 436, I was referring to GM23. On GM23, there's evidence of how this matter was escalated accordingly. Within this instance, we took note that Deputy Chief Dlamini was unfortunately not CC'd for whatever reason. However, the context of this discussion was that they need to follow the processes, ensure that everyone has got the necessary portfolio of evidence. He on his own cannot take the matter up. There are systems, there are internal controls, they must be observed. And that's how I understood this matter. Protocol must be observed. The city has established systems and controls to deal with this matter. It can't be dealt with by one person individually or another without demonstrating that I have been through this matter, I have followed up with these individuals. You can't jump a process when escalating matters that are outstanding, Chair. That's the context of that. So this is these individuals trying to use the back door to deal with this outstanding payment, whereas they're fully aware of the protocols that they had followed previously. So they need to follow those processes. Once I'm convinced that there's sufficient appropriate audit evidence and the TMPD as well as supply chain management have either not dealt with this issue for whatever reasons, I can then take it forward. As is, there's nothing I can do. They need to deal with the relevant individuals within the portfolios.
But that's not what he's saying. He's saying they should go back where they have started Ku'imfuetu. That's you. He calls you Mfuetu in those conversations.
That's true.
They should go back where they have started with you. I said to them, he, in other words, you, are the only gateway. They can't go with a back door. I will only be able to assist if I get an indication from Ku'imfuetu, you. So he's saying, go back and speak to the CFO. He's the only gateway. Don't use me as a back door.
Spot on, Chair. And that's exactly what I'm explaining. So we are virtually on the same page. We just need to try and have consensus on the nature of event. Because the nature of event, I'm referring this and aligning this to the ex post facto payment, which is the true sequence of events of what occurred and what this discussion is emanating from. So as a result of them submitting the necessary portfolio of evidence, demonstrating that they've went through the entire value chain, they can't just go to him. Once I refer a matter to him, I need to also be convinced that they have a case, Chair, that needs to be answered to. First of all, we're sitting here on the 27th of March. The invoice that's outstanding is the 28th of June for the previous financial year. That hadn't been captured in our accruals. It's not recognized in the system whatsoever. So the only way to have this matter fully exhausted upon is to formalize it accordingly, send the formal communications, submit the necessary portfolio of evidence in order to enable myself to test that and to test the legitimacy of the claim that they have on board. So that's the context of this discussion when I understood it then, and that's how I understand it now, Chair, because that's what was really going on in this instance.
I'm sorry, you're losing me here. On the 23rd, Deputy Chief Dlamini says to you, Kane and the Gubis guys want to meet. Must I meet with them? Must I not meet with them? I want direction from you. You say, through Sergeant and Corsi, meet with them and brief us of the outcomes, essentially. We're on the same page thus far.
The only place where we're not on the same page is you are reading that in isolation of page 144. And what I tried to ask the Commission to refer to on the 5th of March. You're reading that in isolation with that, which is what's causing you and I not to be on the same page. So if you go to page 144, on the 5th of March, there's a discussion here and there's a copy of an invoice that I'm sent. And the contents of this discussion is, this one is for the previous financial year. We'll engage later, Nomfuej, with me on how we can address this in order to avoid post facto. So if we read this in conjunction with your later messages, we will then be on the same page. This is an invoice that could not and was not resolved upon when we were dealing with the ad hoc services invoice from Kubi Security Services. So as a result of this still not being paid, this entity is making a follow-up, Chair. They're claiming the city still owes them 397,000 Rand. Hence, they're making follow-ups after they had received the other payments for the other invoices. This one remained outstanding. So the context of that now ties together with 157 and 178 that you're presenting now.
What was the procedure that they should have followed in relation to this previous financial year invoice? As I understood it, it was they should first raise it with the TMPD.
Yes.
If they got no joy there, they should then raise it with supply chain management.
Yes.
If they got no joy there, they should escalate it to you. So
Yes.
you should be the last port of call, not the first. You should be the last port of call, not the first.
I think also what we need to add, Chair, is that during the escalation process, they need to demonstrate beyond reasonable doubt that this invoice is due and payable. Hence, I don't want us to leave the step that they needed to start within APSS first. And APSS needs to make a motivation now. So for me to even consider this, I would have to get the invoice from the service provider along with the motivation from APSS on why I should even think about considering an invoice from a previous financial year that is closed.
But you knew all of that on the 23rd. You knew that that was what the situation was.
Yes, I did, Chair.
And you said to Deputy Chief Dlamini, we won't meet with them. You go ahead and meet and then brief us later.
Yes. So the purpose of that was, there's no reason for me to meet. They need to thrash the situation out with TMPD, make sure that they're able to submit the appropriate ordered evidence for me to even consider this matter. I'm irrelevant to this stage.
So you're irrelevant to this process unless they submit all of the evidence.
This is also peculiar because it's a previous year financial invoice. The previous one, they were able to demonstrate and submit all portfolio of evidence accordingly. Hence, I was convinced that indeed these are invoices that are due and payable, authorized by the relevant structures within the city. In this particular case, that appropriate audit evidence was not there. It's a previous financial year invoice. In order for this to even be considered, there must be an express motivation on why we should even consider making this invoice available. This would now necessitate for me to make a prior period error correction on my financial statements that had been submitted in the previous financial year. Hence, I was not willing to entertain that without having appropriate evidence. I would have to ensure that disclosure notes of the financial statements are amended. I would need to ensure justification to the AG coming back next year on why there's a difference now between the closing and the opening balances. Hence, that process is now peculiar because it needs an additional justification.
And then on the 27th, did you receive anything between the 23rd of March and the 27th of March from General Dlamini?
Did I receive anything formally? The onus was on Gubers to make sure that they make the necessary submissions and they make a motivation to APSS. APSS is a division within TMPD where DC Revo Space is in charge. Once that has been approved, it would have automatically be then transferred to Deputy Chief Dlamini, who is the support services and finance head within TMPD. That's when I can now assist in terms of taking the way forward.
So come the 23rd, their obligation was to engage with TMPD. Is that correct?
So are we on 155 now? On the 23rd?
Yes, their obligation is to engage with the TMPD.
Yes, TMPD APSS.
Yes, they've got to make some sort of motivation
Yes.
to the TMPD, get the TMPD to approve that.
Yes.
Yes. Now, had you received anything from the TMPD between the 23rd and the 27th?
No, nothing was there, Chair.
Which then raises the question of why Deputy Chief Dlamini said what he said. Because he didn't say, I told them, give me a motivation, I can then escalate it to supply chain management, which in turn can escalate it to the CFO. Instead, he said, they should go back where they have started Ku'imfuetu. He is the only gateway. They can't go with a back door.
Mm-hmm.
So he's saying, you've got to go back to the CFO.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of the protocol that you've just explained to us, the protocol was you as CFO can do nothing until they've gone first to TMPD.
Spot on, Chair. And even with this discussion, there was still nothing I could do. Even if Gubis decided to come straight to me, send me a formal email, give me a call, make an official engagement with my office, there was nothing I would have done. I would have referred them to the correct channels. For them would have been to go back to TMPD and sort the matter out accordingly.
But he's not telling them to go back to TMPD. He's saying, go back to you, CFO. They should go back where they have started Ku'imfuetu. He is the only gateway.
It's the gateway, Chair, to ensure that payments are made. And the payments that need to be made, there must be sufficient protocol that has been adhered to and observed at all costs. Within those protocols is ensuring that the internal controls that the city has embarked on and set are followed to the T. Within that is handling the matter with TMPD and with TMPD APSS. So I wouldn't know what this meant, Chair, but I would presume that he was saying, let them escalate the matter to me. I will then refer it to APSS, but I can't comment on the nitty-gritties of that. I understood this purely as a means of saying they need to formally raise the matter and submit the necessary supporting evidence. And the protocols and internal controls need to be adhered to at all costs. They can't try and ambush me or him in dealing with that. So it's extremely difficult for me, Chair, to comment on just that one sentence without having context or without us having a context or a discussion in the entire message.
He also says where they started.
True.
In the message, which means that they started with you,
Yes.
according to General Dlamini.
So, Commissioner Baloy, if you look at the second bundle that I had submitted, I attached Annex GM2. Annex GM2 is what led me to start looking at the process of the outstanding payments. Deputy Chief Dlamini was not CC'd in any of these discussions. Hence, he's saying they must refer to that process again, formalize it. I will then be in a position to refer the matter to him and whoever within TMB to handle. At this stage, he's got insufficient information to even look at the matter.
So you accept that Gubis had started with you? Because that's what that message
No, Gubis.
conveys.
Okay, apologies, Commissioner, apologies for coming in. Gubis did not start with me, they started with supply chain management. And maybe we should go to GM 22 and 23. They started escalating, so they didn't start with me. The matter was not just raised with me. They followed the necessary protocols which I had just outlined. According to Deputy Chief Lamini, what he understood is that he must have received the matter for the first time from me. That's what he understood. But the facts of the matter was they didn't start with me. They started through the process as demonstrated in GM 22 and GM 23.
So where are you saying where he says where they started Gumfowe to, he's incorrect? That's not where Gubis started.
No, that's not where they started.
Did you at any point refer this matter to General Lamini after it had come to you?
It didn't come to me again in a formal nature, so I didn't take it up with him.
Okay. Thank you.
Can I just clarify something, Mr. Mnisi, because when you explain what's happening on the 27th of March, you take us back to page 144, and you say the discussion is about that invoice. But if you go to page 145, especially your WhatsApp, the second one, and you read it together with the sixth one, it suggests to me that that invoice was resolved because on the 6th of March, you say, please extend my gratitude to the General. He has delivered. Purchase orders as per the request have been approved. See you later.
Commissioner, I mean all invoice except for that one. This one is clear. It could not be approved. It was not part and parcel of that. It was all, remember it was a number of invoices here to the tune of between 12 and 14 million rand. I might not remember the figure in its entirety. So all invoices for the financial year in question, which commenced from the 1st of July, were resolved. It was all invoices except this one. This one was not resolved.
So you are saying to us you are now involving Sergeant Nkosi on issues relating to all invoices to the value of 14 million.
I'm explaining to you, Chair, because you, Commissioner.
No, but you're not answering my question, Mr. Mnisi. I thought the discussion here was about this one invoice. Your answer is no, it's not about this invoice. It's about all the invoices except this one. Now let's focus on all the invoices except this one. And my question to you is, are you saying to us you were involving Sergeant Nkosi in matters relating to all invoices to the value of 14 million?
I'm saying to you, Commissioner, the message that you're referring to was to say, thank you, the General has resolved all outstanding messages, all outstanding statements, apologies, except for that one.
But
that's what I'm saying.
You are sending it to Sergeant Nkosi.
I'm sending a message to Sergeant Nkosi.
You are sending it to Sergeant Nkosi. And my question is, you are involving Sergeant Nkosi on issues relating to all those invoices to the value of 14 million.
He had already been involved.
How was he involved in those issues? Because you said he overheard an issue about the Gubis invoice.
Yes. So those were all the Gubis invoice, Commissioner. How he was involved is that he took his phone and he phoned Deputy Chief Lamini while we were in the car. When he called him, he then gave me the phone. I explained to the Deputy Chief the issue that I had been facing and the discussion that I just had with Mr. Calvin Mahlangu. So what I'm saying to you, Commissioner, is that he had already been involved in the process. But from my perspective, it was in general terms. At no stage, at no point did I raise any specifics with him. But for the purpose of the Commission and clarifying the confusion that's there, I'm stating that it was a host of invoices that were involved.
But why do you say to us in general terms? If you say to somebody, purchase orders have been approved by the City of Tshwane, that's not general terms. You are discussing with him payment issues between Tshwane and service providers. And at no point do you say to him, this is not your issue, don't involve yourself. You actually allow him to continue being involved to the point where you share with him processes, you allow him to be in possession of invoices of service providers and to share them between you and Mr. Dlamini, because that's what he's doing on 144. And all of that is appropriate to you, that somebody who's not employed by the city of Tshwane, who is not a representative of Gubis, is participating in all discussions relating to outstanding Gubis payments, processes that have to be followed in order for Gubis payments to be made, and whether or not those payments have been made. Why did you consider that appropriate?
Okay. Firstly, Commissioner, I did not share any information with Sergeant Kosi. There's no single invoice that I've sent to him.
Mr. Mnisi, when you say to him, purchase orders as per request have been approved, are you saying you're not sharing information there?
I'm responding to the concerns that you had raised.
No, but you're saying you never shared information with Sergeant Nkosi. Are you saying there when you say purchase orders as per request have been approved, that's not sharing information?
Commissioner, I'm trying to explain a point.
No, but
and
you're
when I'm
not
cut off,
answering
it
my
makes it
question.
extremely difficult for me. With due respect.
Mnisi,
Yes,
Mr.
yes,
Mnisi,
Commissioner.
We are asking questions.
Yes.
And for your benefit, we would like you to answer our questions. When I ask you a question and you avoid it to deal with something else, you're not assisting me. I'm trying to understand something, and to be fair to you, once you have answered me, you can give whatever explanation you like, I will allow you. So if you answer me and you say, can I explain my answer? By all means, I will allow you to do that. But what I will not allow is when I ask you a question, you choose not to answer that question because you want to speak about something else. And maybe I've said many things, so to be fair to you, let me break them down and we take it slow. On the understanding that I will ask a question, you will answer it. If you want the opportunity to explain your answer, I give you that opportunity. Otherwise, we won't make progress at all. So here is the first question. Are you saying in the second last text, you are not sharing information with Mr. Nkosi?
The second last text, no, there's nothing confidential about the text. It's a general message saying purchase orders have been approved. I'm not sure if I'm adhering to your request. I try to answer and then explain.
You're not answering my question. Are you saying you are not sharing information? I didn't ask you about whether it's confidential or not. My question to you is, in that text, are you not sharing information with Sergeant Nkosi?
It's a message to extend gratitude to the general. I'm not sharing information with him.
So when you say purchase orders as per request have been approved, is that not sharing information?
Commissioner, the first message says, please extend my gratitude.
I'm not asking about the first message. Mr. Mnisi, I'm asking about purchase orders as per request have been approved. When you say that to Sergeant Nkosi, are you not sharing information with him?
I am sharing information.
Exactly. So why does it have to take 5 minutes? Now, I'm asking you the second question. That relates to other invoices to the value of 14 million, not the invoice we looked at on page 144. Am I correct?
It refers to all those invoices except that one?
Except that one, yes. And my question was, why do you consider it appropriate?
He was already involved, and it was convenient for me. He was already in discussions with the general, and this is still in general terms.
And why did you not say to him he cannot be involved? These are issues between the city of Tshwane and its service providers.
Yeah.
Why did you not say that to him?
He was already involved, Commissioner, and
Yes,
I said
I
earlier on
understand.
that in hindsight, I did mention this earlier on, that in hindsight, I should have got the number of the general much earlier than this. Unfortunately, I had not.
I'm talking about when you are with him in the car.
Yes.
Because you said that's the first stage when he involves himself because he overhears the conversation. And I'm asking you, at the first stage when he sought to involve himself, not when he was already involved, at the first stage when he sought to involve himself in something that has nothing to do with him, he's not a representative of Gubis. He has no business speaking to Tshwane on behalf of Gubis. He has no business resolving internal issues between TMPD and whatever the department that sourced these services. He has no business with that. At the first stage when he involves himself, he's with you. Why do you not say to him, Sergeant Nkosi, these are Tshwane matters, you should not be involved in these matters?
Chair, like I said, it was convenient for me at the time. We were overtaken by events taken into account that we were also in a car. The discussion didn't continue any further at that stage after I had a discussion with Deputy Chief Lamini. However, I did mention, Chair, that in hindsight, I should have got the number of the Deputy Chief on that point. However, I need to reiterate that at this point in time, I was not and I did not share any sensitive or confidential information. But in hindsight, I do agree. I should have got the number of the Deputy Chief on the spot and had further engagement with him moving forward.
But you can see in the first chat on 145 that is all sensitive information. I honestly cannot understand how you can say this is not confidential. I have spoken to Kane. He promised to ensure that buyers create purchase orders. As soon as I've received the purchase orders, I will fast-track the service and entries and alert accounts payable to release the payments. You then say to him, thank you, Mfowethu, much appreciated. Let's finalize everything tomorrow so we can pay these guys before Friday. How can you say that's not confidential between Tshwane and internal Tshwane people?
No, what I'm saying is I didn't send confidential message. That message was not from me. The second one is from me.
The one that says, let's finalize everything so that we can pay those guys before Friday.
Yes.
Is that not from you to Sergeant Nkosi?
That's from me.
Exactly. Why do you say it's not confidential when a service provider will be paid?
There's nothing sensitive in that message, nor is there anything confidential at this stage.
Is that your view?
That's my view. It is information, but my view is that there's nothing sensitive or confidential. But it is information that I'm sharing,
Okay.
which he submits and forwards to the general.
Okay. Thank you.
I do. I still sit with my confusion, but I think we've spent a long, long time about that. But I just want to put to you that it seems to me that what you tell